Hello and welcome to another episode of Startup Hustle Middle East. Today I'm here with Hamza Khan. He is the founder of Khan-Letswork. Khan-Letswork is an app that allows you to book spaces to work out of. So it's a subscription service. And I had the pleasure of talking to Hamza a couple of months ago at Step Conference, where he told us a lot of details about his work. But I'm going to let Hamza introduce himself.
Hey, Sid, how's it going? Hi, everyone. My name's Hamza, and I'm the co-founder of Khan-Letswork. I'm 27 years old, born and raised in Dubai. I was previously a lawyer, and then I jumped ship about 2 years ago where I met Omar at an incubator called B25 under the EMAR sort of group of companies. And about a few months into that incubator program, we decided to launch Khan-Letswork. We've had a few sort of iterations of it over the past sort of 2 years since we started. But yeah, I think the latest iteration post-COVID is we are the UAE's leading or only co-working app. So we're the ultimate sort of remote working solution for you, whether you need a shared workspace, whether you need a private office, or even you want to book a meeting room for yourself and your colleagues anywhere across the UAE. We are your go-to platform.
Okay, so I'm going to show you guys the clip from the Step Conference where we shot together, and Hamza explains the whole process of how to book on Khan-Letswork. And we'll be back and talk about post-COVID, how they made some changes and how they've pivoted a little bit. And what Khan-Letswork looks like now.
So Hamza and Omar, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mamta.
So can you start off by giving a little elevator pitch about what Khan-Letswork is all about?
Sure. So Khan-Letswork is an app that helps you find workspaces across the country. We partner with beautiful venues like hotels, cafes, business centers, and even warehouses across the UAE to offer workspaces to people during the day. So if you're a freelancer, an entrepreneur, an SME, or even a corporate who's looking for a space to work from, you can download our app. You can purchase one of our packages. We have daily, weekly, monthly, and quarterly packages, and you can come and work from one of our spaces across the UAE, and you get a host of benefits, including a space to work from, but also unlimited tea and coffee and water, 20% off food. We have meeting room access as well. There's free parking at most locations, and obviously the sort of the entrepreneurial sort of environment around which our members sort of work from.
Okay, great. So how is it different from other co-working space options that are available? Is it significantly cheaper? More flexible?
Yeah, we have actually both of those things. So because we partner with these spaces, we had the opportunity to expand as much as we can. Mm-hmm. So it's very simple for us to add a location onto our platform. Mm-hmm. So we have about 50 locations. So that's number one, where you get the flexibility to go from wherever you want. Mm-hmm. So if you have a meeting in Marina during the morning, you can check into a Khan-Letswork space. And then if you have to go to downtown towards the end of the day, you have more than 7 spaces in downtown alone. Mm-hmm. And then also the price point. So our monthly membership comes down to about 490 dirhams a month.
That's very good.
Which is
and
about
free coffee in that.
Yeah, so 490 a month comes out to 16 dirhams a day if you're going to be using it every day. So for 16 dirhams, what you're getting is a place to work from, but you're also getting things like the free coffee and the tea and everything, but a space, a genuine sort of quiet space to work from, which is curated for working. So all our spaces come with seats with plugs and everything as well, so you're never too far away from your nearest location, which is a productive space for you to work from.
So do people need to have a license or?
No, it's really simple. We just need name, number, and email. So when we first launched, we thought it would be startups and freelancers who would use our space, but we slowly saw that it's also students who need a space to study from. We have corporates who want a space to get out of the office.
Yeah.
So we kept it open. Even some mothers who are trying to run a business on the side, they want to be close to their kids' schools. So we don't really require any licenses. It's an app. You just sign up very easily and get to work very easily also.
Okay, great. And how did you start? Was it self-funded initially? Because you've raised with Emar being one of your lead investors, correct?
Correct, yeah. So basically, Omar and I, we met at the E25 program, which is an incubator program that the EMAR group launched about 2 years ago. And the idea was for that program to help provide a platform for entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs under the age of 25 to come together and work on an idea. And if the idea sort of had legs, and if the management team of EMAR liked the idea, then they'd give us the seed funding to get it started. So we launched about 2 years ago with a beta platform, with some minimal funding just to see how it goes, and then we sort of proved the concept through our beta platform, and we launched our app literally a year ago at Step Conference last year.
Wow!
So yeah, it's our 1 year anniversary. So hurrah for that!
And 50 venues. That's amazing.
50 venues, 13,000 users across all of our different locations across the Dubai, Sharjah, Abu Dhabi, Ras Al Khaimah, Ajman. man. And yeah, hopefully, scale that up in the coming months and years as well.
So scale that up to other markets? Is that what you're looking at?
For sure. I mean, it just makes sense to go to the neighboring countries in the GCC, just because they have the same kind of mindset that the UAE has, and because it's such a simple platform, I don't think it will take too much to scale. I mean, that's why I took an appetite to it. It's a very scalable model. And
it drives traffic to their venues.
It drives traffic to their venues, yeah.
So we started off, So we started off with some EMAR venues just to try it out. So we started off with the Rove and the Vida hotels, and they saw that this was bringing footfall, it was bringing revenue, this was bringing additional sort of marketing exposure to the venues, and so we decided to scale it up across the 50 venues we have on board. So it's a great mix, and the cool thing is about all the venues is that they cater to so many different audiences. So it's not just the hotels or the homegrown cafes. It's not like every space is the same. Every space is unique in its own way. So if you're looking for a quiet space, if you're looking for a lively space, if you're looking for an urban space, if you're looking for a super pink space like Tanya's Tea House, for example.
Oh, that's part of Let's Work
exactly.
as well.
So we have a whole variety of spaces. So we're literally catering to whatever mood you're in for the day. And we have hotels on board as well. So if you need meeting rooms, if you need private spaces to conduct meetings or workshops or video conferences, we have that. And and what we've realized now is that there's so many different utilizations for Let's Work, and there's so many different target markets for it as well, as Omar said, that I think we're only just getting started.
Okay, amazing. How has your funding journey been since the E25 program?
So since that, I mean, we're still using our sort of seed funding. So the interesting thing about Let's Work is the fact that it's not very capital. Yeah, it's very minimal. It's not very capital intensive. So when Omar and I first got together, we realized that building a co-working space, let alone building 20 co-working spaces in one market, is going to cost huge amounts of money, huge amounts of overheads as well.
And you're probably not going to get the captive audience that you want. I mean, trying to keep the occupancy rate at that level that you need to sustain the business is not really smart, and it's not scalable as well.
Yeah.
So this way we save a lot of money.
Okay.
We depend mainly on our tech, and the rest is word of mouth. People enjoy the spaces, so I think it was an easier model to go down, and it was an easier pitch for us also.
Okay. And how have you been marketing Let's Work? Like, aside from word of mouth, because honestly, that's how I became familiar with Let's Work, from just people using the service and the fact that they can enjoy working from different venues. But what is your marketing strategy been?
So when we first launched, we did something interesting where we gave free passes to influencers.
Okay.
We just gave them free passes. And
gotta love influencers.
Yeah.
Love
I mean, it works. Yeah, it depends.
It works. We have our mugs as well, so they kind of like that are working from a Let's Work location today, and it was great. It was like just organic kind of following, and people that we wanted. We weren't going for the 100,000 followers. We were looking for the 10,000 follower
more authentic
micro influencers. Yeah.
But then, like any other companies, social media, Instagram and Facebook are amazing. We just push content constantly.
Creating content, SEO.
We're doing new campaigns every week now as well, which is great to cater to different markets too.
Okay, and we ran into you at Sharjah Entrepreneurship Festival. You have a beautiful booth at Step as well.
Thank you.
This is your core target, well, one of your core target audiences. So I'm guessing that this is a great place for you to acquire new members as well.
And see old members too.
And see old members.
Hey, so if you look at the space right now, we've got our old members working from the space as well. We're acquiring new customers as well. You'd think, like a year and a half into this, like a lot of people would have heard of us, but I mean, there's still so much appetite for workspaces as well. So we're constant places like Step and places like CEF Conference as well. They're great spaces. Like, instead of us, investing the same amount of money in, I don't know, Google AdWords for a week or 2 weeks or however long we want to, spend that money, you might as well come. You have a presence. Yeah, have a presence in a conference like Step and CEF, and you meet sort of qualified leads, right? You meet investors, you meet other entrepreneurs, you meet people in the community, you meet the the general ecosystem as well, and word of mouth is the best, honestly. Like, and if you tell one person and you convince them how good the business is or how good the product is, then it sort of spreads in like wildfire.
Okay.
So these things, these on sort of like these on-site sort of activations and stuff were really good, especially with an entrepreneurial audience, for sure.
Okay.
And we get to meet people like you.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Exactly.
And be on the show.
And to be on the show.
And our audience is the kind of audience you want to reach out to. So I'm sure that they would see a lot of value from Let's Work as well. because you do have some amazing locations.
Thank you.
And nobody wants to work out of a boring office anymore.
It's changing. So instead of you working from home, getting distracted or getting disturbed by, I don't know, your pets or your babies or whatever, or instead of you working from an office, which can be very expensive, or going, especially if your office is is far away from your home, you might as well check into your nearest Let's Work location. Sorry, there's a fly flying around me.
I mean, the perks of shooting outdoors.
No, I love it.
But I saw recently that there's a hashtag that has been trending for a while, which is office view for the day, or hashtag office view, and everyone wants to pose with their laptop and a beautiful coffee cappuccino and a beautiful view. So I think people really want a non-traditional work setup these days, and people watch and get some work done. So
definitely.
So what do you think has been the most challenging thing so far?
I kind of focus on the tech aspect of it. It's just you have a vision of what you want your app to look like, what you want it to do, but it takes time to reach that point, and it takes a lot of learning. So I think what I can say for our company and a lot of other companies I've spoken to is just getting the tech where you need it to be to help you kind of just, okay, that's just working for sure. Let's focus on getting new customers, getting new companies on board, getting new venues on board. So I think the tech was a bit of a challenge for us.
Okay.
But we're lucky that it's such a simple concept that it just kind of works for itself. Like people, when they see the app, they just kind of understand now.
Okay. And did you do the tech here, or did you outsource it?
No, we outsourced it. Yeah.
Okay. How difficult have you found it is to onboard venues, not counting the MR venues? How challenging?
I mean, even that was difficult, to be honest. But you think
it's a no-brainer,
no,
right?
yeah, you think no, but no, for us, I think it was just sort of convincing people of this concept and making them understand that, hey, it's better to have people working on your laptops and stuff in your space as opposed to having it completely empty during the day. And because it's actually because the sector is so saturated, so I think that's actually worked in our favor, where concepts are always trying to F&B concepts or hotels, they're always trying to stay relevant and trying to come up with fresh ways to attract people into their spaces. So co-working has been a great way for them to do that. You're getting loyalty, you're getting customer loyalty, you're getting people who are coming in quite regularly, whether it's our daily active users or as people who who are just coming in to use our space once in a while. You're getting exposure, so a lot of the time there's new concepts opening all the time, and how if you have a productive space to work from, how else are you going to reach out to the people than by being listed on our app? There's only so much work you can do by yourself, but you need to work with other platforms partners like ourselves to really get the word out. Okay. And with our community, we have tens of thousands of people on Instagram following us. We have about over 13,000 people who've registered and worked with us in the past as well. So it's a really, really interesting captive audience that people can, business owners like hotels and restaurant owners can really cater to and work with.
So you haven't faced much resistance from them.
I mean,
it's the initial explanation of what value this is going to bring.
And it depends, it depends on the venues.
I think when we first launched, obviously it was kind of okay, we're new.
Who are these kids?
Who are these kids?
Who are they?
But now it's reached a point where we're getting requests weekly from random restaurants, and we have to turn them down just because we have one of our loyal venue partners right next door.
Or simply the concept doesn't work there, So we really try to make sure that the spaces are conducive spaces for working. Okay. So it can't just be any random coffee shop. It needs to have, things like strong Wi-Fi. It needs to be nice and quiet. They need to have plugs. They need to have good parking facilities as well. Good coffee for sure.
Yeah.
They need to be in, areas where people actually need one as opposed to in the middle of nowhere. So we're really trying to cater to, every single corner of Dubai where there people might be needing a space to work at. Some locations, some areas like downtown, like Omar said, we have multiple spaces, because there's such a demand. We'd sign on more spaces just to sort of, get as much and give people as many options as possible. And then other places we just have one or two.
Okay. Do the venues also pay you? Your monetization is strictly through memberships and
so we make money through our membership, and we basically partner with venues, and they basically benefit from the revenue and the footfall that they benefit.
Okay, but there's no venue that's paying to be a premium venue or anything like that.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
It's free to be part of Let's Work. Yeah.
Okay, and what do you think has been the biggest mistake so far in this journey? Because we're all about honest conversations, so.
Multiple mistakes. It's difficult to see what the biggest one was. I mean, we make mistakes every single day, whether it's accidentally spending, a silly amount of money on Facebook advertising or
changing the Google ads. I got calls from I don't know what I did with the Google ads.
Yeah.
I got frustrated one day. I was like, why aren't we number one on Google? Can we try? This is
So
when
we
it
added
was
more.
just Hamza and I.
Yeah.
So I added more budget and clicked recommended by Google, and they just kind of put as many words. And the whole day we were getting calls from people doing McDonald's deliveries and all this stuff.
Yeah.
So it's just random
Or
money
because
spent.
our keywords were work, for example. So people applying for jobs with us as well. We're like, no, we're not hiring.
God.
We're offering workspaces, not jobs.
Yeah.
So I think that's a general mistake. Or I mean we make mistakes all the time, and it's just making sure that they you make
Learn
those
from
mistakes,
them.
you learn from them, and you react to them quickly, and you make sure you don't lose too much money from them as well.
So recently, our app, we had to renew a license for some SSL certificate.
Oh yeah.
And just by chance this happened when Hamza and I said, okay, let's just take 2 hours, just like close laptops, let's just relax and have lunch. Check our phones, 17 missed calls each. And
Oh
this is from
my God.
customers,
This is from the team, the
venues,
customers, venues couldn't.
saying the app shut down completely.
Oh
it basically
my
broke
God.
for 2 hours.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
But then from that, we got a lot of good response because Hamza thought of a notification. He's like, sorry, the app took a siesta, but we're all back online. Which was really cool. Everyone's like I got messages
Everyone
like, oh, this is really cool. Like no other app does this.
And I think it sort of like gave us like a bit of an ego boost, because then we realized, wait, so many people actually use Let's Work and care that I can't check into a location, and everyone's like panicking and freaking out and stuff. So if anything, it was like it felt good, because then it meant people actually use it and actually rely on it, and that's that's great for realizing what your customer stickiness as well.
Okay, great, awesome. So how does the app work?
Very simple. You sign up. You can do Google or Facebook or just an email. From that, you can pick the location that you want to work at, and you buy a package based on your frequency. Once you're there in the location, you just click the Let's Work button. And then from that, the staff at the space, they're kind of our community managers. They'll be able to verify that you're a valid member, and then you get all the benefits.
Okay, but I can choose any location
Exactly.
within the Let's Work.
So you just download the app, sign up as a user, purchase a package, and then just check into a location that's nearest to you. And then the location gets notified that, yep, Mamta's checked in and she's a Let's Work member and she can avail the benefits. And then you have a space to work from for the rest of the day. And then
great.
Rinse and repeat.
Okay, amazing. Well, they also have a spin the wheel as part of their booth, and I did spin it.
Oh, what did
and
you get?
Usually I don't win anything, but I won a monthly pass.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
So the next time when we have you on the show for a longer episode, maybe potentially from one of the Let's Work venues, I'll tell you how my experience has been using it.
For sure.
So what advice do you have for aspiring entrepreneurs and founders from your whole experience?
From both of us, or
one each? One each.
So mine is usually just kind of like just start something very simple. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't overplan. Just verify the concept. When we first did this, it was 20 people in one location, where we literally went around the table and said, would you guys be willing to pay a monthly membership and get free tea and coffee at this space, and we'll set up our own Wi-Fi network? And even that, we said pay to the hotel, not so the hotel was taking the money, and it was just to verify the concept. And from there, it was enough, from 20 to 13,000 now. I think that's just important. A lot of people end up putting too much investment in the website, God knows the marketing to begin with. We need this. We need to hire X amount of people. The branding.
We've changed our brand guidelines about 11 times, thanks to me, because I can't make up my mind. But
that's why you should work with Yellow. It wouldn't change.
Yeah.
That's my branding and digital company. Yeah.
I think for me, my key advice would be people. So find the right co-founder. So find someone who has.
He's giving you a compliment.
No, or he found me. No, find the right co-founder, whether it's someone with complementary skills to you, someone with a complementary mindset to you. Find the right team members as well. So start with interns for sure. We've always had interns join us first, and then they've also the ones who wanted to stick around. That's one of them there.
Yeah.
They join us full time. So Thomas and Daria, they join us full time after that, and we've constantly having new interns join us and do that. But I think the key is just to find the right people who are dedicated, who are hard workers, and finding that right culture fit as well, because I think it's the team that's behind the product sometimes that really makes and breaks it. You can have a fantastic product, but if you don't have a good team and if you don't have enough of them, I think that's one thing as well. Like a lot of the time we'd be focusing on like Omar and I were, for example, at one point and at multiple points as well, where we'd actually just be doing operational stuff from day to day, and then we realized, wait, we're not actually growing the business. We're actually just doing we're actually running errands and doing that, when we realized that, hey, we need to actually hire more people so that they can take over those operational things, and we can continue
focus
with strategy
and
business development and growth.
So
finding the right people and finding enough of them as well.
Yeah, I think it's important to make that shift of becoming employees in your own business to business owners.
Yeah, and we're learning
really
from that.
important.
Yeah, I mean, I think now more and more, I think our day-to-day role is turning into sort of managing people as well, and managing people, and making sure that we're all doing what we're meant to be doing, and managing tasks focus on growth.
Yeah, okay, great, awesome. Well, thanks a lot, Omar and Hamza, for being on the show, and enjoy the rest of the event.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.
See you soon.
See you. Bye.
Cheers.
So Hamza, so since COVID hit, I guess you guys had to change your business model a little bit, and it's affected almost everybody. But how is it?
It has, yeah. I think anyone except for people who are making PPE or masks and hand sanitizer, it's pretty much affected everyone. But and it's interesting just looking back at that that shot of us at Step Conference. That was literally our peak month, when we thought nothing could stop us. We were in the middle of all the action at Step Conference. It was mid-February, and then lo and behold, a month later, things basically came crashing down for many people. But yeah, I think we basically had to shut shop for about 6 weeks. So all of our spaces were closed down due to like a lockdown about mid-March, and we paused everyone's memberships. And we finally reopened our spaces. I think we only reopened out of the 40 spaces we had at the time, or 45 at the time. I think we reopened with about 5, and then slowly we've sort of crept back to normal over the last few 4 to 5 months. So yeah, I think we're pretty much back to sort of pre-COVID levels, say January time, which was really good. I think the most exciting, is what's quite exciting is that, I mean, if you think about it, this whole sort of COVID episode has made everyone just realize that, you don't really need an office. And what it's done is actually expanded or, widened the pie in which, people that is our sort of our target market and demographic. So people who are currently working from home, people who but don't really want to work from home. What the message that we're trying to push over the next sort of couple of weeks and months is, work from home doesn't mean you work always has to be from home. It can be from anywhere you want. So work from home is actually work from anywhere. So yeah.
Right. So how difficult was it for you guys to, like, how quickly did you have to stop your subscription? Was there any technological issues that you guys ran into to do that, since I'm guessing you weren't prepared for something like that? Or
yeah, I mean, we just had to, we didn't have any sort of technical sort of element to allow people to freeze their memberships. But what we ended up doing was, I think it was around March 15th, when we sent out an email to everyone saying, hey, everyone, our things are getting a bit dramatic now. And if you're too scared to go visit our spaces, just message us. And this is about 550 regular, every single day paying customers who were checking into our spaces. So imagine 550 people emailing them and telling them, hey, if you're too scared, we're going to start, freezing your memberships, and we'd be happy to do that. And I think about 50 to 100 responded straight away saying, yeah, can you please freeze my membership? And then about 5 days later, all of our spaces shut down. So we had to basically freeze everyone. And it's interesting because we then spent the next sort of 6 weeks, like everyone did, just staying at home. We were doing daily Zoom calls with the team just to get everyone on the same page as to what we need to do. If anything, it actually allowed us to catch up on a lot of like backlog of work that we had over the last few months, which we didn't really have which we didn't really have the chance to get to. So things like finances, things like, tracking down those expenses and those receipts that we lost for the last 6 months, and figuring out what exactly we were doing, and even realigning as well and strategizing as to obviously there's going to be a new normal when we come out of this. So what is that new normal going to look like, and how can we best either pivot the business if it's going to be significantly different to what it was before, or just readjust it and maybe start focusing on different products and services which will probably become a little bit more relevant in the future. So I mean financially, we had to sort of put everyone on a 3-day work week, which we thought was probably the easiest thing to do to continue operations without disrupting it too much. And but yeah, I think we managed to have enough cash flow to stay afloat. I think the key was at that time, and that that incredibly difficult period for most companies in March, April, and May, was to just keep that cash flow alive and somehow keep things afloat and just get through that little thing until June, and then summer hit, and then just get through June, July, and August, and then now finally we're in September, where I think that the general sort of business conditions have improved significantly. I think everyone's a little bit more confident. Well, definitely a lot more confident in everything in you know the future, and also people are a lot more comfortable, obviously, leaving their homes as well. So
Right.
so yeah.
Yeah, so for listeners from other places, not Dubai, Dubai's kind of opened up recently. I'd say for the last 2 months, things have been open. There are no more restrictions on where you can go or how many people can be together at the same time. There are certain limits on restaurants and things like that, where how many people are allowed to occupy that space or like how
Yeah.
much distance people need to maintain. But for the most part, it's pretty normal now. Right?
Pretty
Don't you
much,
think?
I'd say I totally agreed. I think pretty much about 3/4 of the way normal. I think the only thing that's missing is probably just large gatherings, obviously. So
Yeah.
events and exhibitions and weddings and stuff. I think that's missing. And I think, mosques are closed on Friday prayers, which is the most busy time of
Yeah.
the week for them. But other than that, we're pretty much back to normal. And I think slowly, I mean, even in terms of our venues, about 80-90% of them are back live. I think, unfortunately, we lost some venues because they just simply couldn't sustain themselves. They're already struggling to begin with, and they just couldn't sustain themselves after
Mm.
that major hiccup. And then, but in any case, everyone else is pretty much opening soon, and we have some new venues. We've signed on a lot of new venues in the last month as well. I think
Mm.
what's interesting is just how the UAE managed to deal with this whole COVID episode. I mean, I think globally, if you look at it, I think the country is probably one of the best jobs around to basically, get their act together, quickly figure out what is going on, close the borders, make sure they sort of isolate everyone that does catch it, and deal with all these cases very quickly. I mean, we
Yeah.
have developed a bit of a second sort of wave over the last week or so,
Yeah.
where things have gone up a little bit. But I mean, that's only expected because schools have opened, borders are fully
Yeah.
open now as well, and Emirates is bringing in people from all around the world. So yeah, I mean, that's expected. But I think now everyone's come to the realization that we're just going to have to live with it, and there's nothing we can really do about it. I highly doubt it's going to come down to zero anytime soon at all, if it does even.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're just going to have to live with it.
Yeah. So, can you tell me some ways in which Let's Work has pivoted since COVID? Have you guys made any changes to your platform or to your
Yeah.
processes or anything like that?
Yeah, so basically, I think there are about three main ways that we sort of took this, that we pivoted or restructured our business or our app. So number one was we got the time to basically give our app or our company basically a bit of a makeover.
Mm.
So completely got down to business in terms of our branding and our brand guidelines and everything, because it was a bit all over the place and we never really had anything concrete in place. So we worked on that, and we basically implemented a whole new look across our website and our app, and we have a new website coming up soon as well. So that was the most exciting thing for me. Second was also realizing that a lot of people are going to be wanting more isolation perhaps, and a lot more privacy once things do open up. So one thing which was quite exciting that we did, and we're still doing, but we launched it in May, which actually got a lot of media attention, was so basically, for people who don't know or didn't quite catch it from that brief in the Step conference, we're an app that allows you to work from hotels and cafes across the country. So we partner with all these great spaces which aren't traditional workspaces, and we basically offer them to you as members, either on a day pass, a week pass, a month pass, or a 3-month pass, to come and work from those spaces during the day and use that essentially as your office. So instead of you going to Starbucks or Costa Coffee and having an average of experience there, or instead of you working from home, or instead of you working from an office, you can come and work from our spaces instead.
Okay.
So I mean, the Rove Hotels, for example, were our first venue partners when we launched about 2 years ago, and what we saw once we came out of the lockdown was they were all at about 30-40% occupancy at the time, obviously because there are no tourists. So
Right.
we spoke to the directors at Rove, and we said, hey, is there any way we could make use of the rooms which are sitting empty, and why don't we actually convert them into individual single occupancy offices for the day? So instead of people staying overnight, they can actually make the most of isolation and social distancing, and they can actually escape from working from home if they don't have the right infrastructure to work from home, or if they're if the kids are driving them crazy at home, or if your partner is
Yeah.
driving you crazy, or if you just want to get away from things. And that actually proved to be really successful, and we had a lot of bookings that came for that and are still coming to this day. Obviously, I think people are fine with shared workspaces now, but there's still a lot of people who like to have that extra privacy as well, and like to be in
Hmm.
complete solitude. So we rolled that across all the Rove hotels, which was really good. And then the third one was basically working on new products and services within the app. So now not only can you buy a membership to work from one of our shared spaces, but you can also book meeting rooms instantly at some of our hotel partners across the country. And we are now partnering with business centers and other co-working spaces, which you can you can rent a private office at as well.
Oh, that's very cool. So you guys
whether
added
it's
these
an hour,
three new
a day,
services, basically. Yeah.
We did. So we did all these three things over the last sort of 4 or 5 months. They were always in the plan, and we have a lot of new things coming up as well in the next few months, because we realized that we should be doing this, we should be doing that. Some plans that we had, which were in the near future, we've moved them to the side because it's not our priority right now. And other plans which we had in the future, we brought them forward and think actually this might be a good idea. It's something to launch something now. So stay tuned.
Okay. That's cool. So do you think you've had there's been any positive impact from this whole situation for you guys?
Yeah. So like I said, before, our bread and butter customer, our typical customer used to be, your individuals, your freelancers, your entrepreneurs who were just starting out in your small teams of 2s and 3s. But what we've now seen is that because so many large companies, and because their offices are still closed, either for the next few months or maybe even long term or even permanently, or a lot of companies have even taken the stance of doing like a 3-day come into the office or 2-day come into the office and work from home the rest of the day. This sort of like this flexible sort of thing. So that's actually been really positive for us, because now we, like, a lot of our customers are actually large, are come in bulk. So these are employees of large corporations, whether they're your consultancies like PwC and McKinsey and Bain, or they're employees of large companies like, I don't know, Nestle or Johnson & Johnson or Mars Chocolates and stuff, all these FMCG companies who globally, as part of their global plan for offices, they've said, actually, we're not going to go back to the office come September. So all these guys, even though officially their company doesn't, endorse, for or against anything, if these employees, instead of them, working from home, they thought, I'm happy to meet my colleagues for a few hours in the day instead of having, a lot of people have Zoom fatigue as well. So instead of, continuing with meetings and calls on Zoom, why don't we just meet for a coffee and meet at some of these Let's Work spaces instead, and meet halfway between our homes.
Yeah, that's awesome. I've seen that impact as well. Like I have a few friends who are business owners, entrepreneurs, who have teams of 200-300 people working in the office. And what they noticed during this whole lockdown phase is that operations continued smoothly during the whole phase remotely. And they see a lot of value in allowing their employees to work from home some of the time, like 30, 40, 50%, which, first of all, they can have less office space, less resources required, like a smaller footprint in the office itself, save on rent and things like that. As well as a lot of them saw a positive outcome as well in their attitude and stuff. They were happier to work from home, have timings, things like that. And productivity didn't really stop. So I foresee that a lot more companies are going to allow, now it's been tested now. People can work from home and they will work from home. So, if they can, then I think companies will start letting employees work remotely a lot more now, which I think would be beneficial
for sure.
For you guys.
I think it was a trend that was going to come in about 1 or 2 or 3 years anyway. It was something that was pretty relevant, pretty prevalent elsewhere in the world, but it hadn't really come into the UAE or the region much, because I don't know, we just had a bit of a more traditional culture. People were a little bit more old school. But I think, same way how things like e-commerce or digital payments and stuff have like all this growth that was projected for the next 2 years has essentially happened in like 2 weeks, basically. I think that's the most exciting thing, because because what COVID has done is it's accelerated so many changes that were coming, like essentially, and made them happen overnight, basically.
So, okay, let's talk about your team during this time. How has it been working internally with all the restrictions and things like that?
Yeah. So working as a team was obviously difficult to begin with. And I think that there was this one point in April when even I myself was like very just kind of over it, basically. And I was like, this is the end of the world. We're never going to get out of it. This is it. we're going to shut down operations. So I think mentally it did have a massive impact on both, founders as well as, employees. But I think the key was just keeping up team morale and just making sure that, that communication was still there between the team. I think since everything opened up, we've done a lot of team building as well. Or at least, wherever we could. We try to do as many, team building sort of exercises and stuff wherever possible with the resources available possible, with whatever resources that are available around us as well. So that's been great. And I think looking forward as well, I think it's an exciting time. And I think, we even, said this to the team that some of the world's greatest companies have come out of, distressful times. And innovation comes out of demand, and comes out of demand that needs to be met very quickly. So if anything, I think this has tested a lot of businesses in terms of their sustainability. So the ones that didn't make it through this yet, I think they probably need to rethink some of their strategy. The ones that did make it through, they need to look back and think what worked and what made us make it through, and how can we continue challenging ourselves and also innovating to make sure that we continue growing in the future. I think what's most exciting is just for us as well, is just realizing that the world can really change overnight. COVID has proven that whatever no matter how much you plan, like things can go out the window with the click of a button, basically. So or with a bite of a bat or whatever. Right. But yeah, I think looking into the future, just thinking about what the future of office space, for example, looks like, I think it's really interesting, because as you said, for example, as well, with your friend who had this, or your friends who have offices which are 5,000, 6,000, 10,000 square feet. Like, do you really need a massive headquarters for everyone? Do we instead need to think of all as office space is more of like a bit of a hub, which is open for people to come in and go out and use whenever they want. And even in terms of company culture, like maybe it's about time we start just giving employees the choice as to where they want to work from and when they want to work from and how they want to work from. In the middle, for example, I had to head home for a family emergency. I went to the UK, and we made it work. I think if COVID hadn't happened and we were new to this whole remote working thing, I don't think it would have been possible. But I think now it's made us realize that you can really work from anywhere. And I'm not saying everyone start move to Bali and become become a digital nomad and start doing that, because obviously things like time difference and stuff, and I think you definitely need human contact. But just thinking about how company culture and offices are gonna change. I think one key thing also is to remember that the reason why we stayed productive and we continued working quite well with each other, even though it was all online, was because we had pre-existing relationships with people. So I think one challenge, for example, with remote working would be, how do you onboard new people while remote working? How do I groom talent? Fresh grads, for example, how like a lot of the time you learn from just like osmosis by being around your coworkers and by being around your boss, or you learn a lot about people and you build relationships with them, by the water cooler or by getting a coffee downstairs together and stuff. So I don't think remote working or Zoom has solved that problem. So I think it's interesting to see how people will come up with softwares or ideas that we can overcome that. Events, networking. How are you meant to network in a digital only world? You definitely need some sort of human element.
Yeah. Did you see how Step Conference did their digital event this year or this time? A few weeks ago?
We did. Yeah, we saw that. It was last week, wasn't it? I mean, we did sort of spread the word about it because Step have been a very valuable partner of ours over the last 1 or 2 years. And I think some of us did attend some of their fireside chats that they had. But I think, like anything, I think doing a conference fully digital is very difficult. And it's definitely an uphill battle because it's tough. And also, how do you generate much revenue from it? Because the thing is what's interesting about like COVID is there is a Zoom call or a webinar about everything over the last 6 months. So things that were happening in the States, these awesome discussions that were happening in Silicon Valley or in London or Hong Kong and stuff, everyone had access to them suddenly, right? So I think it became even more difficult for organizers of conferences like Step to really put a price on something which is basically available for free as well. So I think looking forward for events, for example, like Step, I definitely think that there is massive value in there being a conference in person. obviously with the right safety precautions and everything in place. And I think events, for example, will definitely have a digital element to them where, you can have like an in-person ticket, say for $100 for the whole weekend, but then you can have a digital ticket, as well for about, $20. So you can use exactly to attend, to attend these webinars and stuff. So there will be a digital element to them to cater to a wider audience. But yeah, I think a digital-only events would be very difficult to justify a price for.
I think part of the fun of an event is to see the spectacle and the people and meet the people and communicate and network. So it's a tough thing.
And as much as the content, I think you're selling the experience, right? The experience of going there in person, all these crazy booths, these competitions that are happening, jumping in and out of, interesting chats that are happening in different tents, bumping into people randomly. I think that sort of experience is extremely difficult or nearly impossible to replicate or do better digitally, for sure.
Yeah, cool. Have you guys looked at fundraising during this time at all, or?
We have, I think, like everyone, if you didn't run out of money, then I want to know what you're doing because I want to do the same. But no, yeah, we are currently looking at different opportunities available to us.
Okay.
Yeah, well, it's a conversation that we're having right now, and we're looking into for the next quarter probably. So let's see how that goes.
And I'm curious, how have investors been responding to you during this time?
I think very, very open. I think what's interesting is the fact that our business is completely asset light. So, I'm sure, you and a lot of the listeners have probably heard of, WeWork's story over the last 1 year where, they were doing great and then they had their failed IPO and then their valuation sort of plummeted. And then they had all these changes in the business with, thousands of people being laid off. So I think it was only worsened by COVID as well, right?
Yeah,
because then, you have massive cash flow issues with, what you have to pay your landlord and then what the money that you have coming in from tenants. So I think what's been great about us is that it's basically proven that you need some sort of asset light element to it, or you need to be smart in the way your business model operates. And definitely in a format like WeWork's where it's a full rental and subleasing sort of concept probably is not very sustainable in the long term. I think what's cool with co-working is that we've seen some, like not our equivalents, but some co-working giants like Industrious or Notel, for example, in the States, who've now moved to full management agreements. So what they do now is, in terms of co-working spaces, in terms of physical co-working spaces, is that instead of them renting X thousand square feet from a landlord and then subleasing smaller rooms and hot desks and stuff to customers like me and you, what they have done is look at management agreements in the form of just like how hotels operate. So the Marriott Marquis in Business Bay, for example, isn't actually owned by Marriott, is it? It's actually owned by an individual landlord, and then they enter into a hotel management agreement with Marriott to manage the hotel. So that's something that Industrious, exactly, to manage and operate it, and that's exactly what companies like Industrious are doing. So I think that's probably a more sustainable way and a leaner way to do business in the co-working sector, and I wouldn't be surprised if everyone follows suit to that as well.
Have you guys been doing a lot of customer acquisition during this time, trying to recruit more customers to your platform?
So yeah, like I said, we had those sort of 550 membership plans that we had to put on pause. It was actually surprising that, quite a large chunk of them still did not, reactivate their membership. So we essentially had to, ask them like, what is going on? How come you're not back in our spaces? And I think there is a significant amount of people who still aren't comfortable to leave their homes. So, yeah, but I mean, we have this whole new segment of customers, these corporate users who are more than happy to work from our spaces, and they still have their jobs and stuff, so they're not having sort of cash flow issues. So I think what's exciting is that there's a whole new demographic of people that we can really acquire, and yeah, we've been actively we've switched on all of our Facebook ads and Google ads and everything finally, and back in August as well. So Facebook would be glad to know about that. But yeah, we're looking to acquire new customers as well as possible.
Yeah, so even for Varerkar, we had a similar situation. We had to shut down.
Yeah, how was it with you guys? Yeah.
Yeah, so during March, we pretty much shut down operations, and then we waited for about 3 months, and we have restarted. But now we're seeing that the segment that we're catering to, before our segment was mostly, we do a lot of hire and car rentals for tourists. So we'd have a continuous churn of customers, but they'd make large purchases. But now it seems like now there's no more tourists coming over here, but the number of people who are renting cars is increased locally. And I think it might be because, and I think it might be because people are fearful of taking taxis. So if they have a driving license or a Kareem or whatever, so we are, we're taking a little bit of that market where people who would have otherwise taken a Kareem to work every day now are driving themselves and maybe finding it more affordable as well.
Yeah. And I guess for you, that's actually really cool. And I think what's dangerous is that, you have all these massive car dealerships, for example, who are now offering crazy, crazy deals and stuff. But I think for you, it's just the flexibility you offer. So I guess
we are a similar business model, right? We're asset light.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Unfortunately, a lot of the car rental companies over here are suffering because they are, they have a lot of assets.
They own, hundreds of cars in their fleet.
Exactly. But it's definitely been a tough time for us as well. And just this month, we were looking to restart all our customer acquisition strategy, and all that. Because things do seem to be picking back up again. We are noticing more traffic coming to our site now as well. So we're just looking to, and we're also looking to, slightly shift our business model, because we have to adapt, I think, in order to survive. So let's see how it goes.
I think if you just think about it as demand hasn't gone down to zero. It's just demand has just changed to something else. So it's your job as a business owner to figure out what that new demand is, and cater to that demand, and also just plan as to what demand in the future, what trends are pointing towards, and then make sure that you're always at the top of your game, and are actually. It's crazy because this whole thing about thought leaders and taking part in webinars and stuff like that, and trying to understand what the bigger fish and stuff are doing. I mean, there's a lot of value in it, but at the same time, if you're like a founder of your own business and it's quite a niche business, for example, I think a lot of the time it's actually you who's a thought leader. It's actually you who can actually dictate what the demand could be and should be, and for you to essentially offer the supply to it. So I think, as like a fellow founder to you as well. I hope that we can make it through this and end up building an even more successful product and business than what was before.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Hamza, thank you so much for being on the podcast and sharing your stories. We're going to leave links to Letswork in the description below of this podcast. You guys can go check them out. Their website is, what's your website again? Letswork.io.
www.letswork.io. IO. It's a trendy tech startup domain for people who don't have or can't afford .com.
So it's letswork.io. Go check them out. These guys have a really cool service. If you are stuck at home, working from home, this is a good option to, go have a nice space to work out of with some good internet and free coffee. So I leave links in the description below. Make sure you guys go check them out, and thank you for listening, and keep on hustling. Bye.
Thank you, Sid. Take it back.
All right.